Hey everybody, we are live. We
Okay.
are here, making sure everything's working.
Hi.
Yeah, let's get right into it. Hey everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This podcast. I'm Alan,
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
and today is a Disney double feature or triple feature. Sorry, I wanted to do the Devin's Disney whatever.
I appreciate the attempt at
Disney triple feature. Today we're going to be talking about not only 3 Disney films, but we are announcing a giveaway and talking about some other stuff coming from Disney this week because it's Disney Plus week or Disney Plus day. D23 is this weekend. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on with Disney. So we figured let's talk about Disney. But before we get into that, we're going to get into some other stuff, things that we've watched over the last weekend, long weekend here in the States. Devin, you had like an election or something. I don't know what's going on over there.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Lots going on.
But we're going to talk about things that we watch. And if you've been watching, you have to watch this. Actually, I'm sorry. I forgot because I don't have it in the show notes. I wanted to address something that happened over the weekend and congratulate friend of the show, Chad.
Friend of the show, Chad.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Congratulations.
Friend of the show,
seriously,
Chad,
man.
is engaged. Cannot wait to meet his fiance. But congratulations to
Yes.
both of you. Her name is escaping me.
Yana?
Yes.
Nailed it.
Congratulations. I just wanted to do a quick shout out to you guys.
That's awesome. I love that. Congrats, guys.
Yes. All right. Now back to business. If you've been watching the show for the last 3 weeks, you would have seen Devin made me watch Lord of the Rings trilogy extended edition for the first time, all in preparation for Rings of Power. And Rings of Power came out over the weekend. Devin, I'm really excited to hear what you thought of the first 2 episodes of the Rings of Power.
Perfect. I didn't watch them.
Son of a... Okay.
That's great.
Sorry. My weekend got away from me.
I watched them. I'm more
you?
caught up on Lord of the Rings than you are at this point.
That hurts me. That hurts me hard.
It hurts me too. I enjoyed. Okay, there's a lot of discourse going on about this show right now, and it's not all great. There's a lot of internet trolls, for lack of a better term, review bombing this show and comparing it to another show. And that other show in question is House of Dragons. And
How does this compare?
they are 2 different shows. So, and I don't think any show that only has 3 episodes out can really boast itself as being better than a show that has 2 episodes out.
Fair.
I will say this from my personal opinion. I think Rings of Power had a better pilot episode than House of Dragons.
Okay.
Because I talked about it before that House of Dragons doesn't have that Jaime Lannister pushing Bran Stark out the window moment to end the finale that makes you want to watch more. Rings of Power kind of does. It has a moment it's like, oh, there's a lot of things going on. Like, okay, well, what does this mean? What happens next? Like, there's a lot of things that lead you into the next episode. One of the problems I'm having with House of the Dragon is, and Devin, you remember at the end of the end of Game of Thrones where they just kind of quick traveled around Westeros, like without any regard?
And it like didn't matter really. Yeah.
Okay, imagine if they did that, but they jumped years at a time.
Ew.
Every single episode.
It sounds like it'd get exhausting, honestly.
It is. And I understand why they are doing it now. Because they have referenced these characters in Game of Thrones, and I saw the clip, and I was like,
Well, because they're getting to Aegon, right?
Yes.
The Mad King.
No, not quite the Mad King. Still a few generations before that. But they're getting to this conflict, and they're setting it up. And the conflict that they're doing is between the princess and her half brother, whose half brother was just born this last week. Like, he was 2 years old. Like, they
already fighting.
So they jumped from the king announcing he's going to take a wife to her already being pregnant with the second baby, and They pretty much jumped
Oh.
4 years from episode 2 to 3. And there was like a year between episodes 1 and 2. So they keep doing that to get to this main conflict that they're trying to set up, which I get. It's just jarring and very hard to follow.
Yeah.
And I'm not super thrilled about it, but I'm still watching it because now that I know, I can bear with it. Rings of Power, there's a lot of questions there because it's not based on a book that has the story written out. It's based on other things that Tolkien wrote. So I don't think you have to insult one to praise the other. I think they are both fine shows for what they are. And I'm excited to watch them both. I don't think we need to pit them against each other. This isn't the 80s, and it's not Star Wars versus Star Trek like it was back then.
That's fair.
Because if those two fandoms can get along, like, why can't these?
Well, I mean, liking TV shows isn't a zero-sum game. You can like multiple TV shows that are fairly similar in I guess, style. It's totally fine.
Yeah. Ryan, any thoughts?
Ryan, will you watch any of these?
I dive down the viper's nest on the people that hate Rings of Power in the comment sections and stuff. And I'll just keep it simple. I don't agree with any of the basis where any of these people are coming from.
Okay.
But the stuff that does have some merit, like merit that's this thin, okay, is that they're seeing these different like people. So like the mountain trolls versus the elves and this and that, they are complaining about how they are being represented compared to how they've always been represented in the books that they've read. But then every time they complain about that, someone goes, yes, but you're forgetting this passage. Like, it's almost like watching people argue over Bible study. You know, they're bringing up different passages from different things to try to like bring up their points. And it's just, I don't know how else to explain it, but a viper's nest, because that's just what it was.
I don't say this enough, but thank you, Ryan, for being my window into the parts of the internet I don't want to look at. All I need is this summarized digest. I now don't care at all what the discourse is. You've summarized it. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind doing this stuff because I spent a long time when I was in college and just out of college, like deep diving into websites that were popular in like the early millennium that a lot of this stuff started on. So, I mean, I'm used to reading this type of nonsense. So,
yeah.
Gross.
You know.
Perfect.
All right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to both shows to have successful first seasons.
Good.
And then when they were both over, I will let you know what I think of them. Hopefully, Devin gets caught up at some point on Rings of Power.
I will. I 100% will.
Ryan, did you watch anything?
Yeah, a few things actually, but I'm going to narrow it down to one.
Good, because I only pulled one thing.
Yeah, I know. So, Kristen and I watched a few movies, including The Samaritan, which is Sylvester Stallone's superhero movie, and it's good. I enjoyed it for what it was. I mean, don't expect to see a storyline that tries to get as deep as a DC movie. And don't expect the type of humor you get out of a Marvel movie. If you go into it thinking, "Oh, it's Stallone's superhero movie," you'll be entertained.
Okay. This is on Amazon, right?
Yeah. This is on Amazon. Yeah, I believe so.
I keep forgetting Amazon has stuff. Like watching Rings of Power, they redid their the format of the app that I use, and I was like, oh, yeah. I didn't realize they did this. This is interesting.
There's a lot of stuff on there, but it's Sylvester Stallone obviously plays a aging superhero who's in hiding. There's a little kid who's technically his neighbor, finds out who he is, and then chaos ensues. And it takes place in a made-up city called Granite City. So no one can say that, like, oh, no, Philly's not actually like that, or, oh, LA's not that bad. Like, no one can actually say that because it's a made-up
But
city,
it's Stallone, so everyone assumes it's Philly, right?
Right.
I would assume so. I mean, it is Stallone, and
I just picture they substitute the Rocky statue for a Samaritan statue, And
yeah,
Same
I mean,
place.
I think there is a Samaritan statue in it, but I can't really remember. Anyway, I mean, it was, like I said, I watched it, I was entertained by it. It's just go into it, just realizing it's a Stallone superhero movie. So pretty much it's a Stallone action movie. It just happens to have superheroes in it.
I'm sold.
Okay. Yeah, I'm interested in this. I've barely heard about it though, so I'll if I get bored and remember that I have Prime, I'll have to check this out. Yeah. I saw a thing over the weekend, and it was the way I wanted to see this movie when it came out in December, but couldn't because it came out in December. I saw the SpiderMan No Way Home More Fun Stuff edition at my local drive-in. They re-released Spider-Man No Way Home with 11 minutes of extra footage. So they went back and put out all the deleted scenes that were taken off of the Blu-ray at the last minute and put them back into the movie. And with the exception of one series of clips, everything they added was delightful. There was one segment where they just do a bunch of Betty Brant high school interviews with everyone, like the teachers and Peter and Ned, and it went on for too long. Like that would have been a great bonus feature on the DVD, but that was the only thing that they added that took me out of it. Everything else they added was phenomenal. There's more of the three Peters. Spoiler alert. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are in it. They're in the poster that's on the screen. Yeah. There's more dialogue between the three of them. There's a little bit more with Happy and Matt Murdock in here. Just some slight changes. Like there's one scene where they extend it and change the music out. And I thought everything they added, with the exception of that one scene, made the film fit better with the previous two. There's a lot more of the high school stuff. So you get to deal more with what Peter deals with his whole high school knowing that he's Spider-Man. There's a new post-credit scene where you see what happens at the high school without him. Like they all graduate and like he's like redacted from all of the photos that he's supposed to be in. Like birds are flying over his face and stuff. But I really enjoyed it. I really hope they release it on Blu-ray for everyone to see, because I think that's probably going to be my favorite way to watch that movie now.
So I was going to ask, having just gone through the extended edition of all the Lord of the Rings movies, is this is your preferred way now? Like, if anybody is watching this movie for the first time, you would say watch this one first?
Yeah, probably. There are some editing choices that make more sense in this version than they did in the theatrical. Like when all of the villains show up at Happy's apartment, there's that weird shot where it's just his security camera and with all the guys walking in. They explain why you see that, because Happy's like in a boardroom with his lawyer, Matt Murdock, and Damage Control, and he gets an alert on his phone about all of these guys walking into his house. And so there's like a little bit more Happy there. A lot of subtle things that they changed, but there's some lines between the three Peters that are really fun. That I don't want to spoil here, but I will let you guys know after the show.
Perfect.
So this is one thing that you won't see on Disney Plus for a while, probably, but everything else we're going to talk about today is going to be on Disney Plus this week. So let's, well, kind of. Let's get into our big announcement. We are doing a giveaway. Right now, if you head over to our Instagram page, you are going to see a post of the Hocus Pocus 2 teaser poster, and we're giving away that poster. I have it right here to give away. We're going to mail it to you. If you want to win the poster that you see on the screen right now, head over to our Instagram, and all you have to do is follow us on Instagram, comment on the post, tell us your favorite character from Hocus Pocus, your favorite line, what you want to see in Hocus Pocus 2, how your day's going, just whatever you want. Comment on the post, follow us, and then if you want an extra, you're entered to win the poster. If you want to enter again, all you have to do is tag 3 friends. Tag your Sanderson sisters. Tag them. Let them know about our giveaway, and you'll be entered to an extra chance to win the poster. Within reason. Don't like tag all of your friends and try to get multiple. One additional entry per person. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah. I think it's cool. I like the poster a lot. I like the way it looks, and I'm sad I can't win it because I have a good song.
I mean, we never said you couldn't.
Oh, I thought that was implicit. All right, well, I'm doing it.
I mean, you won't, but yeah. So it's a 27 by 40 poster, double-sided. You could backlight it, and it's going to look beautiful, just like the movie theater posters that you see outside of the theater. So check that out over on Instagram. And with that, we're going to get into our Disney triple feature for the week. Talking about Ryan's pick for today, which is Princess and the Frog. Ryan, take it away.
Oh, sorry. My horrible things happen when you're doing live shows and things don't work the way they should.
Do we need to move to
everything? No. We're good. Whatever. So good. My pick was Princess and the Frog. Reason being is that the resort that I stayed at in Disney 3 weeks ago was themed of New Orleans, and so I was like, hey, found out that Alan hadn't seen it, so I picked this one for it. It's a 2009 movie. It's Disney's. It was supposed to be Disney's last hand and as animated feature, and as far as I'm concerned, it's one of the most underrated Disney movies. I saw this maybe about a few years after it came out. Really enjoyed it. Hadn't watched it again for a while. Probably seen it maybe 5 times. That's including the 2 times I've seen it since 3 weeks ago. It's got probably as a whole some of my favorite music from a Disney movie, and I love the cast, which I had up on my phone, and my phone just decided to go on me. That's what I was talking about before. So since Alan, I know it was your first time seeing it, what did you think?
I wish it was computer no. I really enjoyed it. I wish it was computer animated.
Oh, okay.
No, I really enjoyed it. Like, I messaged you guys immediately when I started watching it because I recognized a voice, and I was like, I didn't know John Goodman was in this. Like, why did I wait 10 years to watch this?
Yeah.
But I thought it was good. It made me really hungry for gumbo.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had gumbo, but I want some.
Yeah, you got to change that, man. Gumbo's great. Wow.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I knew some of the songs from the internet. Like, some of them were like sounds on TikTok for a while, so I knew them from that. But overall, I enjoyed it.
Okay. Now, Devin, now I know you are like Disney expert and everything, which we've been joking amongst the 3 of us how weird it is that we're like, I'm the one that's been talking Disney crazy, and you're the one who's actually the big Disney nut. What's your history with it? Where do you rate it? Do you feel like me calling it the most underrated Disney animated film is I guess right?
Like, correct?
Sure.
Yeah,
Correct.
Yeah, I have such a weird relationship with this movie. So Romana loves this movie. Loves it. This is one of her favorite Disney movies. So I definitely understand the appeal of this movie. I saw it first when I was in college, and I definitely saw it first during my Disney, that creatively and morally bankrupt company. I guess I'll watch their animated feature. Entertain me, mouse. And that's where I came at this movie from. So I saw it in a really not great place and was absolutely charmed by it. It wasn't what I was expecting, and that was really great. And I remember having really fond memories of this. I hadn't rewatched this movie in its entirety until this week for this movie. So this is only the second time I've seen the movie.
Okay. I
like the movie. If it's on, I will always watch the movie. I don't know that I will seek this movie out because some of the plot lines in it, I cannot connect to, and we'll talk about that because we'll have to. But I absolutely love the villain. I think the villain's phenomenal. Facilier is I miss good Disney villains 100%. And he hits so well. And as far as underrated Disney movies, Rescuers Down Under is my number one underrated Disney movie.
I'm just going to call it now. Devin does not identify with this film because he is not a frog.
That's fair. It's very fair.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Given the frog thing, this is one. So I really like the idea that Disney and animated films are always been known for like talking animals, and that whole thing. I have two of my favorite moments in this. One is with the comic relief rich girl, which we'll get to later because she's one of the reasons why I absolutely love this movie. When they turn into frogs and they go up on the balloons and the dog talks and the main character is surprised at it, and then the prince goes, if you're going to complain about every little thing, it's going to be a really long night. And I'm like, oh, that's a perfect thing to say given that you're two newly human frogs, going to be dropped off in the middle of the bayou somewhere.
Right.
So when it comes to characters, like Alan, who stood out to you besides John Goodman, and Devin, who didn't you connect with?
Alan, you want to go first?
I like the alligator who plays trumpet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's
Was it Louis? Is it Louis?
I think I believe it's Louis.
I was a little thrown off by Jim Cummings' Firefly thing that he was doing.
Just wait.
But yeah, I like the alligator. That was a pleasant surprise for me because I didn't know about that one coming in. So that caught me off guard, and as a former trumpet player, I like trumpet players. In fact, hold on. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. I didn't.
Oh, if you had your trumpet, I would have been so excited.
Yeah, my favorite instance with that is when he tries to do it the first time and then jumps off, and then the entire side of the steamboat turns into a tank. It's just guns.
Which
if Disney hadn't animated the most American scene ever in a movie, it's that one. It's that one.
I was trying to think of other instances of guns in Disney movies, and I guess Pocahontas.
Oh right.
Pocahontas, Pirates of the Caribbean,
animated.
Animated. Okay.
But if we're going live action, then there's Guns and Sister Act, and that's a Disney film.
Well, true.
Good shout.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so animated. I mean, Winnie the Pooh was strapped.
Fox and the Hound.
It was a cork gun, but
oh, too soon.
Fox and the Hound. Oh, LOL.
That one gets me.
At least he didn't. At least he didn't have glasses to lose. Anyway, Devin.
Okay, so the one that I didn't connect with was the Firefly. I have such a hard time with his plot of, I love this Firefly. It's actually the star, and now I'm a star. No part of me like that. No part of me was like, I hope he gets to see his love. I was just like, you dumb Firefly, it's a star. The whole time. I was not on board with it.
No, this movie actually makes me tear up when he dies at the end. So
Ryan, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Devin, you are a horrible human being. No, the whole thing with that, I just assumed that it was I knew that his love was dead. It's a Disney movie. I have no problem with a Firefly dying and another star showing up in the sky. Whatever. This is about two people getting turned into frogs by voodoo. So
that's fair.
Doesn't really stretch my imagination that much to the point where I'm like, I don't know.
I think for me with this movie, I think the movie goes so hard on the animation in a way that they really pulled it off that only this movie could have been done animated. Imagine that Friends on the Other Side song if it wasn't an animated movie. If this was a CG movie, it wouldn't be so impactful and it wouldn't be so visually stunning. And I like this movie a lot for those reasons, I think. Did you guys have the same thing, or were you like, it was fine?
I mean, I think you could, like, with technology now, you could definitely do that whole scene live action. I think it'll be a lot scarier for kids. I myself am creeped out by the whole concept of voodoo. Like, I don't even want to dive into it that much on the show. So,
well, that's one of the things that I had stuff up for that. I lost because I went in because being baseball, we've talked about voodoo before because of Major League, and I wanted to be like, the reason why the term exists is because of ignorance on our end of other people's cultures, and it was just, let's just use a blanket statement and cover it. And I had a list of beliefs that people just called the one term, and that's what I lost, and that's part of what I was upset about. Plus the cast list and all that other stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things I love about this movie too, is like that scene, the friends on the other side, and it's creepy. It's legit kind of scary. Like, it works and this time of year, the fall getting close to Halloween, it works.
yeah.
Yeah. I also like that this is one of the few Disney movies where the prince actually has a character arc, and he's not just this like perfect ideal of a human being that like is just the love interest.
Where the prince has a name, not just Prince Charming.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if I'm supposed to take his name this way, and if it's not, I apologize, but Prince Naive? What's his
Levine.
Levine. Because of the way my brain works, because I'm dyslexic and spelling isn't really a big thing of mine, I always see it as it's supposed to be a pun of like Prince Naive. He's naive to actual like struggles of life, and that's what he has to learn in the swamp. That's how I've always taken his name and the character. So
yeah, I can see it being reminiscent of the Thing. Like, I think that's totally legit, and honestly a deeper dive than I think I've taken. But
yeah,
you hinted at Mama Odie, and I want to talk about her.
Mom of the blind woman that lives in the bayou.
Yeah, Mama Odie.
Yeah, okay. Let's. What?
Well, did you like her? No, you were like, I want to talk about Mama Odie. I'm like, okay, I want to talk about her too.
No, I absolutely love her character. She's, every Disney movie needs to have like a quirky, older person in it, and that's who she is, and it makes it. I love the fact that she's close to 200 years old, I think they say in this. Yeah. So, what's your take on her?
She is my favorite song in the movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 100% she does. I think she's a wonderful character, and she is my favorite song.
I love that. I love she goes through that whole thing, and they're just like, they don't learn any lessons from it. They just keep going.
No. Yeah. Alan, did you have a favorite song, or maybe one or two that stood out to you?
I liked Friends on the Other Side. Just because of Dave Keith's voice. Like he like, it's weird that I think of Community when I hear his voice now, but that one's good. I like the art style of Almost There, how it switched to like a 1920s like style. But yeah, we should wrap up Princess and the Frog and move on here shortly.
Okay. So, two last things. Mine is my favorite song of It's Almost There. Then second is Down in New Orleans. Pretty much the two songs that are like the start of the movie. But this movie has my favorite comic relief character in any Disney movie, and that's the rich girl. She is hysterical, and in fact, one of the lines that makes it that makes me feel that way about it is when she tells the one guy at the party, Travis. No, here we go. There are plenty of young fillies dying for you to waltz them into a stupor.
Yeah. I mean, her lines are. I mean, the lines around her are wonderful.
There's a follow-up series about that character, right?
I don't really follow into the whole mini-series after the movie.
Yeah,
so, no, I did not.
She gets 3 roommates. One of them comes in from a nursing home, and they eat cheesecake. Because every time she was on screen, I just pictured Blanche from the Golden Girls.
I was gonna say, Alan, you're gonna have to name me the name of the show because it's like I was completely lost.
She credit to them for doing the Southern Dame archetype correctly, because it reminded me of Blanche up to the point where she even calls her dad Big Daddy, like Blanche does.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I could think of when I saw her on screen was that's my thing about, why I picked this movie. Again, we were down in New Orleans, the resort. I highly recommend doing Port New Orleans, French, the French Quarter side. There's Riverside, which is just like plantation mansions.
Okay.
I'd rather do French Quarter.
Yeah. Fair.
So yeah, I mean, unless you guys have anything else.
I have one thing that I wanted to ask from this. Okay. What food in this made you guys want it the most? Because I mentioned that I really want gumbo, but the thing that made me really hungry was seeing the beignets. Like I love me a good beignet.
Oh. We had those when we were at the resort.
Don't you do this to me, Ryan.
They had a cafe and they had legit beignets available with like different toppings, different jams and jellies, and like Kristen was like, I was like, well, what is it? Because at first I had no idea what she was talking about. Like a beignet, what's that? And she was like, well, you like donuts? I'm like, yeah, I love donuts. She was like, it's kind of like that. Best way to describe it. I'm like, okay. And it is just, I ate like 5 in one sitting. I made myself sick. I couldn't stop. Like they're
so
just, oh my God, they're so good.
Did it make you appreciate the beignets in the movie more?
Oh, so much more.
Good.
Yeah.
If you want to see a fun story of beignets on Chef Show, the Jon Favreau, Roy Choi cooking show on Netflix, there's a whole saga about beignets because they mess it up the first time and then have to go back and revisit it later on in the show. So.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
I love that show. I'll have to watch it.
All right. I think that does it for Ryan's pick, Princess and the Frog. Devin, let's talk about your pick for the Disney triple feature.
I want to start with a story about my pick. So it's probably on screen now. I picked the Rocketeer, the 1991 Joe Johnston vehicle. Okay. I told Romana and told everyone in my apartment that we're doing a Disney triple feature. The reaction was, finally, you're doing good movies for the podcast. What movies are you watching? And I go, oh, we're watching Princess and the Frog and the new Chip and Dale movie and the Rocketeer. And Romana goes, you didn't pick the Rocketeer, did you? I go, I picked the Rocketeer. She's like, and then I got this whole rant about how there are better Disney movies and how dare I pick the Rocketeer and it's so horrible and I'm the worst. So guys, I'm the worst. Thank you both for bearing with me.
In your defense, you make us do this every 6 months. Every other pick of yours is a Disney movie. You will pick better ones, I'm sure. And I hope that everyone in your apartment enjoyed the other 2 films.
That's fair. And I'll definitely talk about that in a moment. So, The Rocketeer, 1991 movie. It stars Billy Campbell, a young but not Labyrinth young Jennifer Connelly. Good old Timothy Dalton, who's just a pleasure to be on screen. And the background for this is actually based on a 1985 comic book of the same name. And it was adapted to screen by Jeffrey Katzenberg, who at the time was essentially running Disney's movie division. This is back when they wanted to move into kind of more broad types of movies. I had seen this movie first when I was a young lad, primarily from my dad, who's like, oh, James Bond's in another movie. I need to watch that one. And was introduced to it that way. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. Post Iron Man, it's definitely a movie. I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are on it. This movie does have a bit of a cult following around it. So it didn't find its audience when it first launched, but it definitely found its audience later in life. So first off, have either of you seen this movie before?
Several times.
Oh, cool. Okay, great.
Never.
A lot of firsts for you today, Alan. So let's start with Ryan then. So we started with Alan before. Let's start with Ryan. Ryan, how do you feel about this movie? What's your history with it?
Well, I saw it in theaters.
Oh, wow.
I thought it was really cool. I wanted the helmet for the longest time. Never got it. I had a solid plastic figure that I think I got through McDonald's, I think, where it was the Rocketeer like blasting off. So like it was a mold of like the smoke, and so like the figure sat on the smoke, and like it was him with his head up, like launching. I watched this thing to death when I was a kid, so much so that I tried to rewatch this again like 2 months ago. Because I had nothing else to do. I'm like, oh, I'll rewatch The Rocketeer. I haven't seen it since I was like, like because that I enjoy. It's aged, but I think it's a nostalgia movie. Like, if you've seen it as a kid, it's a good watch. That idea and theory is going to be tested when we go to Alan.
Exactly. I'm really curious to see how someone with fresh eyes goes into this movie. So, Alan, what did you think of The Rocketeer?
It reminded me of those. It almost felt like a Disney Channel original movie from the 90s with a budget.
Good. It basically is that.
I like Joe Johnston as a director, so this has been on my list for a while. But I enjoyed it. Like, it was fine. I don't see myself going back and watching it again. I thought the plot was kind of predictable. I love that they got James Bond to play the villain, because he's pretty much playing a Bond villain in this. Let's be honest.
He is.
But yeah, I thought it was fine. Like, I have nothing really
against
James
Bond I forgot about.
Yeah, Timothy Dalton. Yeah.
This because I was like, I'm thinking, like, Devin said there's James Bond in this. Where's James Bond in this? I don't see any James Bond. And then Alan said who it was. I'm like, oh, that's the one I forgot about that you guys had to like yell at me about.
Oh goodness.
Friend of the show, Timothy Dalton.
Timothy Dalton. My goodness. So this definitely comes in an era where Disney thinks that everybody was obsessed with gangsters, and not just gangsters, but caricatures of what a gangster could be. Because also this is around the same time as like Dick Tracy, and you still kind of get like Dick Tracy vibes, especially from Ronald Tiny Ron Taylor.
So I wanted to talk about that because this movie because I love that movie. I love the Dick Tracy movie. I will watch that to the cows come home. 100%. So much so that it made me add it to the list of movies to have you guys watch, which that might be happening sooner rather than later.
Okay.
But yeah, no, that character with like, it's those choices that I say, unless you grew up with this movie, I don't think this would be enjoyable or make any sense to people, because like you've got the actual gangsters, the guy that runs the club, and they're normal, stereotypical club-owning 1930s gangsters. And then you have this guy that looks like he walked off of a Dick Tracy comic.
Yeah.
Just out of nowhere. And it makes no sense for this one character to look like this and everyone else to look normal.
And he was totally ADR'd the whole time. Like, his mouth didn't quite line up, like, for any of his lines. And, like, as a kid, I remember being very scared by this character and thought he was very cool. This time around, he took me out of the movie. Alan, did you have that same reaction to this guy?
No, like, I kind of... having not seen Dick Tracy, I kind of just looked at him like a villain from, like, the SpiderMan animated show, like Hammerhead. Like, he just kind of looked deformed because he's a gangster. Like... Okay.
That's what a life of crime does to your face.
He's a bad guy. Like, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All he was missing was the twirly mustache.
Yeah.
Really, though.
Yeah. What they used to do in, like, the Dick Tracy comics and then other comics of that era was that they would take the gangsters. All back then, the real gangsters had silly names like Babyface and all this other stuff. What they did in those comics was that they took their nicknames and actually put it on their faces. So, like, Little Face McGee would have a normal-sized head, but his face would take up this part of the face, like, really teeny tiny. And like, Flathead would just have a flat head.
Flat head.
And that's where I feel like they were trying to go for to kind of, like, get into the mood of, like, that era. But it would have been better if, like, let's say, all the gangsters looked like that.
Yeah.
Or maybe more than just one person.
I think that's why he took me out.
Yeah.
So one of the things I like the most about this movie that really kind of drew me in was this very specific era of like, this is Hollywood. Anybody could be a secret. I mean, in this case, it was a secret Nazi, but anyone could be a secret communist. Anyone could be secretly working for the enemy. And and then the gangsters are involved. Oh my gosh, I love this time period. Did you guys have that same connection to that? Because like, that's what brings me back to this movie and made me like it the most. It wasn't him flying around like it was when I was a kid. I've seen Iron Man. It's been done better. But it's that very specific era of Hollywood and gangsters and all that. Oh, I love it.
It's yeah, I can see that with like the pre-World War II stuff. Like, we're not in the war yet, so there's like, but there's still like suspicions around peoples and stuff. No, I enjoy that era too. I like looking at the poster they have here. Like, I really like that style, that Art Deco style from that period. But yeah, I'm fascinated with old Hollywood stuff too, because this is like pre-McCarthyism. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie actually made me add The Phantom because it's around the same era, like the 1930s.
I'm so
Alan?
so glad you brought that up. The Phantom, that's the one with Billy Zane, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could
purple suit.
I could have sworn Billy Zane was in the Rocketeer. I forget. I didn't realize it was Billy Campbell. I thought this, like, for some reason in my brain, like, I just switched the two. Like, I thought Billy Zane was in this, not Billy Campbell, who I recognize from the 4400 that I watched over 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, that's. And we're talking about the Rocketeer guy, right? Like, you're talking about the actor who plays the actual guy.
Yeah, Billy Campbell. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I don't really recognize him from anything else. I can't really place him.
He's in the
because I had the
Dracula.
same thing. Because Alan, you weren't the only one. Because when he was at the opening of the movie, when he was getting into the racing plane, I was thinking to myself, is that Billy Zane? Is he in this? Did I forget that Billy Zane was in this? And then it wasn't until they did the real close-up on his face when he was flying that I realized, like, oh, okay, that's not Billy Zane.
To quote somebody in the movie that I'm about to talk about, is that Dean Cain?
Is that Dean Cain? Oh, gosh.
So my favorite part of this era is mainly anything that has to do with the FBI.
Oh, yeah.
Mainly because of one line, and it's during the opening chase, and the FBI squad car gets shot up, and the conversation between the FBI agents goes, "Driver, crap, that's our third car this month," and the other guy, "The heck with Hoover."
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then was it after that? They were playing paper, rock, scissors or something like that to see who was going to call Hoover to let him know what happened. Like, I love it when they insert in the 1930s an FBI agent who's either talking crap or afraid of dealing with Hoover.
It's a very cool era, and I like the startup story of the FBI. Like, I just think it was the same thing where it was the Johnny Depp movie that took place in that same era where he was John Dillinger. I thought that was a lot of fun because, again, it was the startup of the FBI. And J. Edgar Hoover, which I absolutely love. So I think the last thing I wanted to bring up about this movie was just for Alan. Alan, I love Terry O'Quinn.
I was gonna say,
I'm happy he was in this movie.
Yeah, give me Terry O'Quinn in anything, and I am there. I want to see a whole movie as him as Howard Hughes.
Yes.
Like, I want to see that more than The Aviator.
That's fair.
Because
I also was like,
because I feel like his women can age out past 25. Like,
yes, yes, absolutely. Also gross, but also yes. No, I thought he was. I forgot it was him until I saw him. I'm like, is that Locke? And look, I was like, that's Locke.
I thought he was the agent at the beginning because he had a hat on, and I was like, he's kind of got the same facial structure. And then he showed up like with that guy in the next scene. I was like, oh, okay, there he is.
Yeah,
because I saw him on IMDb.
So
I knew what was coming, but yeah.
Well, I'm glad you at least enjoyed the Rocketeer a bit more than Romana's idea of it was.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Like I said, this has been on my list for a while. The one thing I'll add to the conversation about this is you guys compared it a lot to Iron Man because of the way the suit works, but Joe Johnston directed Captain America: First Avenger.
He did,
so
yeah.
There's a lot of similarities there too, like just with the way he tells a story. I think this film is really a good example of why he got that job, more so than Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
That's fair. It's very fair.
And
that movie too.
That's a good one. We've all seen Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, right?
Oh okay. Yeah, 100%.
Okay, good. I was really afraid you were going to say no.
No, I love that movie.
All right, this is my turn.
All right, go for it.
So my pick is a little bit more recent, and in the news recently because it just won the Emmy for Outstanding Television Movie, and that is Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, starring John Mulaney and Andy Samberg as Chip 'n Dale, along with a host of other cameos from cartoons. Premise of this film is Chip and Dale are retired from their TV show Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, but when Monterey Jack goes missing, they are pulled back together to rescue their friend. I saw this back when it premiered because everything I saw marketing-wise for this movie made me want to watch it immediately, so I did. What did you guys think of Chip 'n Dale? Because Devin, you had asked me to make this my pick.
Yeah, I did.
Do you regret that? Do you regret that?
Absolutely not. Of any of the 3 movies we watched this week, I had the most fun with this movie. I loved it. I would watch it again right now. I love this movie.
Ryan, what did you think?
It was entertaining. I found parts of it funny.
Oh no, that was almost negative.
It's not a no-no, and it's not negative. It's just when it comes to this type of stuff, there's like a sense of humor that I like, and it has to do with like timing and everything. And I don't know. We'll get into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It has more to do with how the movie was done than anything else.
Okay. I'm trying to remember back to our last episode. Did you have the same reaction to Popstar Never Stop, Never Stopping?
I honestly don't remember.
I think you did. I think I remember this.
So I think maybe what about Hot Rod? I made you watch Hot Rod, right?
No.
Yeah, I did, didn't I? It was a while ago.
This is bad. Yeah. If the 2 movies you're saying that I had a similar reaction to, that I don't remember.
That's fair. I mean, I think that says. So yeah, I think that speaks volumes for the sense of humor because it's directed by the same guys. This is pretty much a Lonely Island movie. You got Andy Samberg in here. You've got Yorma, I think, directed this.
I think so.
But it's got a bunch of cameos from all over the place, Disney and likewise. Were there any moments in here, any moments that surprised you for a Disney movie?
Yeah, when they were going down Main Street and they were like, oh, that person, Muppet fights. That person, like, drugs. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't know.
And there were legit Disney characters in that, too. Like, the mom from Phineas and Ferb is walking through there, so...
Presumably not doing something great.
I mean, the show's off the air, so who knows?
Who knows what she does for work now? Who knows? No, did anything surprise you, Ryan?
Just overall everything, because I mean, it's a Disney movie, so there's a certain expectations and there's certain limits you think they're not going to go, and then this movie was how far I think a lot of people want Disney to go when it comes to making fun of itself, like how Fox will openly make fun of itself in its shows and its as far as Fox was willing to go to let The Simpsons make fun of the network,
Sure.
people have been wanting Disney to do the same thing, and I feel like this movie is a step in that direction.
I really don't think Fox was encouraging The Simpsons or the Family Guy to make fun of them. They allow it because
If they, here's the thing: if they weren't encouraging it, they were allowing it, and that's what I'm trying to say is that a lot of people want Disney to kind of do the same thing. Like, look, you're big enough, you can let your animators kind of poke fun at how big your network is because, you know, in the end, it's not going to cost you any revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are some things in this that aren't necessarily Disney that I was kind of surprised to see. Like E.T.
I was going to bring that up.
E.T. versus Batman is a big one. Because you see the poster for that and Mr. Doubtfire starring Meryl Streep. But the biggest one is Ugly Sonic.
It was like a part of the plot. I thought he was just like a quick cut to gag because I heard he was in it. I didn't know he was plot heavy.
Oh yeah.
I loved how they made fun of his teeth. I absolutely loved how they made that a joke.
How did they do that? Like, because also like Dobby's in the background of this movie.
I wanted to bring that up because that was my favorite like fake ad inside the entire
so
film.
Good.
And it was so quick too. Like I had to pause it and rewind to make sure that it was Dobby, and I actually put down in here favorite background joke: Dobby and a Gucci ad.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with parody and fair use.
Oh, okay.
Because for Sonic, they always call him Ugly Sonic. It's never Sonic. His character name is Ugly Sonic. So they didn't even have to get permission from Paramount to do that. Because it's a different character. They're making it's a parody. So it's a lot of that. I think there are some lines that are like when they had to, like if you look in the freezer, there's like a Looney Tunes dinner with
Foghorn Leghorn on it.
Leghorn. So
yeah,
I think there are some things that they had to get permissions for, but a lot of it just falls into parody law, so they can get away with it. And then you have the Disney characters who show up that they had full reign to, like my favorite was the Roger Rabbit cameo. Yeah. Which I think is the most underrated Disney movie. Because people always forget about Roger Rabbit.
I do. I'll need to rewatch it. I haven't seen it in years.
I don't understand how people can forget about it.
Yeah.
And then when you get into the whole bootlegging part of things, like that's the easy way to get around it because you're not showing the actual character designs. Even though a lot of them were characters that Disney owned, like they just tweaked them enough, like the small fish lady.
Yeah. One of my favorite lines in the movie is the fake Bart Simpson or like a Bort Simpson delivering something like I Penumbra or something.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Were there any other moments that stood out to you guys?
Yeah, the Seth Rogen on Seth Rogen scene. Absolutely loved it. Because they're not DreamWorks. Like, I don't know how they got that Blob character, but I'm glad they did.
Yeah, I think that's part of the. I think for the joke, they reached out to people like those studios, because for something like that, you have to. I imagine you have to get permission to get the Kung Fu Panda and Monsters vs. Aliens characters.
I loved it though. I thought it was so funny.
Brian, how about you?
Yeah. Did you ask me a question?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Were there any moments that stood out to you?
There was a lot. Like I said before, like it's my thing with this movie was that there was too much crammed into the background. There was too much scenery to eat through.
Mm-hmm.
That I started getting kind of annoyed at it because I was paying more attention to the background than the actual storyline sometimes, and I had to gear myself back in because I forgot where the movie was going or what was happening. I'd find myself 2 scenes in, and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on, so I'd have to rewind it to get caught back up. That's where my issues is with this movie came in, and so I have too many moments that I really did like. But off the top of my head at the moment, I would have to say the cheese den.
Yeah.
That whole thing. just the whole gag from the show about, you know, him getting distracted by cheese and lifting off his feet and how that's an actual thing.
Mhm.
And then it kind of makes you think about, okay, so is he addicted to cheese because they made him addicted to cheese on the show?
And it's like
is
scary
that-
implications.
It's like real scary is implications though. But my favorite line
Mhm.
is when Chip gets home and he looks at his phone and he says, "A message on my landline." I don't like that, or don't like that. Like as soon as he said that, like, yeah, no one leaves messages on a landline anymore.
Well, what did you guys think about Chip and like Chip is this and Gadget is this? They're like cartoon in a 3D space design. Because Alan, I feel like you and I have seen this kind of thing in like Fortnite before.
Mm-hmm.
But like, how did that play out in a movie for you guys? Did that look good?
I mean,
Well-
in my mind, it takes place in the same universe as Roger Rabbit.
Okay.
Because there's even dip in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a nice callback. But I see it like that. Like they look 2D in their animation style, but they're actually 3D. We just can't see it. Like you have to be there.
Mhm.
But I like the idea that you can be transformed into the CGI upgrades.
Right.
Yeah, it worked for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you like it, Ryan?
I mean, they had 2D in Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know if you would prefer that style more though. Like if you the flat 2D cartoons.
So to get this out there, I
Yeah.
absolutely hate the whole 3D CGI'd cartoon character thrown into a live action movie. I hate the Smurfs. I hate the Garfield movies. I can't stand any of them.
So does Bill Murray.
Peter Rabbit. I hate the look. Yeah. I absolutely hate the look. In fact, the only one I like is Sonic, and that's because I like Sonic enough to look past it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like how they poke fun at that, where, you know, like some of them are hand drawn, some of them are 3D animated, and it fits better in my mind in the Roger Rabbit universe that already exists, because humans, them living together, like that's the universe, and there's enough of them that it's not just one one-off character that's CGI'd and everyone else is real.
Mm-hmm.
So
does the movie Cool World work for you at all? The 1992 Brad Pitt movie?
Yeah, I love Cool
Okay.
World because it's hand animated.
Never seen it.
And there's that separate universe.
Never seen it.
We're gonna have to watch it at some point. It's a trip. It's like
Yeah.
Roger Rabbit, but much different.
So, of all the characters that appeared in this, who was your favorite to
Yeah.
see? Who was the most surprising? Who got you excited?
Oh goodness, I'm gonna say that my favorite. I mean, I loved Ugly Sonic, but that's not a good answer.
I've got mine if you want me to.
What is it? Yeah, what is it?
Senator Butthead.
Oh, you win!
Yeah.
Senator's Butthead campaign poster painted on the back of a park bench.
Yep. I knew that was going to be your
Yeah.
favorite. I forgot that thing was there until you said it. And every time I watch the movie, it's like, Ryan would appreciate that. Devin?
Okay, I got a couple. So, I mean, the most obvious one for me is that they did in that like panel of parts they took from people. One of the parts they took from people was Sora's hair from the Kingdom Hearts franchise, and I just love the fact that they're referencing him in anything. I also just really liked Rick and Morty version of Chip and Dale when they popped up on screen. That was also fun. So there's a lot. There's a lot that I like in this movie, but those are the big ones for now.
I hated that wall. I hated that
Why?
wall of the taken parts, because it means that character was kidnapped and transformed,
But
and is
by the end of it, they are set back to normal, hopefully.
Mhm.
Like
ones they
Jimmy
can find.
Neutron got his hair back. So for me, it's probably, I like the Simpsons cutaway that they did when they transform into Simpsons characters, but
Yeah.
very end, Darkwing Duck. he's right. Like I want Darkwing. Like don't make a Chip and Dale sequel. Give me a Darkwing Duck movie where he's flying around Los Angeles thinking he's an actual superhero. Like that's what I want to see.
Yeah,
he falls and hits his head, forgets his actual persona, only remembers the character, and the police department go to Chip and Dale and that cop to go find him and bring him back to the hospital.
I'd watch that movie.
Yeah, one thing that I found interesting about this movie, watching it again, is how absent the main Disney characters are. There's no mention of Mickey or Goofy. They say Donald Duck once, but just because somebody was not wearing pants.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that was Disney like being protective of that IP away from this, and if they do to get a sequel, if they would let them play with it or not.
Right.
I could definitely see that as being one of the qualifications or like rules they had in the deal. Be like, look, we're gonna let you have extreme creative control and making jokes at our expense, but you have to leave, and they drop a list, these IPs out of it.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that.
I'm happy that Knight Rider made the cut as a lunchbox, though. That part was very cool.
Yeah.
The fact that you had the candlestick as the booth next to
Lumiere,
next to Dale, and he lit the 5 on fire.
Yeah.
The one thing that I will say this movie has gotten a little bit of flack for is its treatment of Peter Pan. Because
did it really though?
Because of what happened to the actor who played Peter Pan in that original Disney movie, there's a lot of similarities there between his real life and what happened to Peter Pan in this. And some people were like, that's kind of in bad taste, guys. I don't think it was intentional, but it is worth looking into if you have the time. Check out that story, because it is sad.
No idea.
Yeah, I didn't know. That is a shame, man. Because I just was so charmed it was Will Arnett, to be honest.
Yeah, Will Arnett does a great... I mean, for what they did with it, it's a good... I like the moment with him and the Lost Boy. Like, everybody gets old, kid. Like, can't fight.
Sorry.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I have on Chip and Dale. What did you guys... Well, actually, real quick, what did you think of John Mulaney and Andy Samberg as the voices?
Oh, phenomenal. I do like John Mulaney, I think, stood out to me because I feel like Andy Samberg and everything I hear him in is just being Andy Samberg. Mm-hmm. But I was happy to see that John Mulaney wasn't doing Spider-Ham in this. Mm-hmm. And it was more of a grounded thing. That part I really liked.
Yeah. You don't know who they are.
These are two guys who you guys know like really in depthly, and every time you bring them up, I'm like, I only know them whenever we watch a movie that does voice acting, and I have no point of reference. I have no.
Well, I am going to send you some John Mulaney stand-up because you need to understand the Dean Cain joke we made earlier.
You're in for a treat.
Yes. I'll send you the Law and Order bit and the diner bit.
Okay.
I've done the diner bit in real life, by the way.
That's because you're an asshole.
Doesn't go over well. I am. 100% I am.
This is coming from the person in 6th grade that was like, it's okay. None of us get this. We're fine. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
That was worse. This moment's worse.
I was never going to bring that up again until this just happened. So.
I'm glad you did, though.
Okay. That does it for our triple feature. Let's talk a little bit about Disney Plus Day. We're not sponsored by Disney, but if they want to throw some money our way, I think they have a few bucks. So Disney Plus Day is this Thursday. There's a lot of things coming out Thursday on Disney Plus. I forget what order I put things in. So I'm just going to start off with the new episode of She-Hulk. Have you guys watched any of She-Hulk yet?
Yeah, I'm caught up.
Yeah? I'm caught up. Anyone in there that you didn't recognize, Devin?
I got so mad at this most recent episode because the whole time they're talking about Megan the Stallion, which I'm going to be entirely honest, for the first couple of times I thought they were talking about a superhero, Megan the Stallion, and she was like a horse girl. And then it took me till half the episode to realize that no, this is a real artist that is really alive in our real life. and that they were obsessed with and I've never heard of before, but it really banked on the fact that you knew who that was.
I can't with you right now. Like I just can't. So coming out to Disney Plus this Thursday is Thor: Love and Thunder, a film that I saw and have the poster for up still. Have you guys seen Thor: Love and Thunder?
I have.
Ryan, are you going to watch it on Disney Plus?
At some point, yes.
Okay.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Also coming to Disney Plus on Thursday is Pinocchio, the remake with Tom Hanks as Geppetto and Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Jiminy Cricket.
It's Ewan McGregor. I thought it was Ewan McGregor as Jiminy.
I thought it was Joseph
Am
Gordon.
I wrong?
Isn't it Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
Let me see.
Ewan McGregor is in the other Pinocchio, the Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, the other Pinocchio. Okay, I get those two mixed up. I forgot there were two.
Yeah. That's.
You said you're excited for this, Ryan?
Yeah, I am. We got back 3 weeks ago, and I've been wanting to watch nothing but like Disney cartoons, original, Renaissance, modern. Like it's all I've been really wanting to watch. And so one of the first ones we watched was Pinocchio when we got back, and I had no idea this was happening. So like Kristen and I watched the cartoon, and then like a few days later to a week later, we saw an ad for it, and I'm like, this is straight from the cartoon. This is just a live action, straight from the cartoon, shot by shot, like thing, and it's Tom Hanks. Sold. Like,
Well,
this is also Zemeckis,
yeah, I was gonna say
right?
what attracts me to it is it's Robert Zemeckis who does the motion capture CGI stuff very well, because he's been doing it since it was the dead-eyed Seth Rogen and Chip and Dale. Like, so yeah, I'll check this out. I need to rewatch the original Pinocchio because it's been about 20 years since I've seen it. But
oh wow!
Also coming to Disney Plus is the Simpsons short, Welcome to the Club, because every year we get 2 Simpsons shorts and I'm here for it. This one has I don't know much about it, but it has Lisa dressed as a witch driving off a cliff in a car with Ursula from The Little Mermaid.
Fine.
Thelma and Louise. So sign me up.
That's funny.
And then finally the documentary Obi-Wan Kenobi: A Jedi's Return, the behind the scenes look at Obi-Wan Kenobi on Disney Plus.
That one might be interesting if they make it in kind of the same vein as the Mandalorian ones, because I didn't think I would be so interested in the filmmaking process for them until I saw the technology that came behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it's similar for this, if they're just like, yeah, we did the Mandalorian and it worked, so here it is again, or if they have more interesting things to tell us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious. I've enjoyed all of the behind the scenes stuff that they've done for the Star Wars stuff. I think I even watched the Boba Fett one, and that was interesting. But I think the best behind the scenes thing that I've seen that they've done was for Multiverse of Madness, because it's hosted by Bruce Campbell, who's just being Bruce. Like, if you just watch the first 2 minutes of it, you're in for a treat. Mm-hmm. Like, we stopped it after that, but like his opening to it was phenomenal.
I think you stopped it after that. Ryan, would you watch the behind the scenes things, or are you like, I watch the show and it's fine, I'm good?
It depends how obsessed I am with it.
Okay.
Because it's like, do you guys remember a movie called Movie Magic that was on Discovery Channel, like the late 90s, early millennium?
No.
Okay, there was a show that they actually had that was on weekly, and they went into like how they did Hocus Pocus and how they did a bunch, like I saw behind the scenes stuff on the movie Speed and Twister, and it was a show that was all dedicated to just how they did all of the technical stuff week after week on all these major movies. Mm-hmm. And so after watching all of that, like, unless I'm obsessed with something, like, let's take Prey. If they were to make a behind the scenes thing on Prey, I'd watch it in a heartbeat because I love the movie. If I was like, it was a good movie, I'll probably watch it again, and they came out with one, I'm like, it's all green screen, it's okay. Like, it's
all right. Well, I think that does it. We might do a recap of some Disney Plus stuff later in the week.
Ooh, that could be fun.
It could be fun. Also, I'm debating whether or not we should do a live commentary on the Emmy Awards next Monday.
Oh boy.
Debating that, so we'll stay tuned to find that out. In the meantime, go to our Instagram page and you can enter the contest to win the Hocus Pocus 2 poster that we are giving away. Next week is my pick, and we have a film coming out next week here in the States that has a little bit of a different kind of opening. Like, this film's already screened a few places. People have seen it, but it's going to Fathom Events next week. So I think in honor of that, it's time, in honor of Clerks 3, we're going to watch the final Kevin Smith film that I have not made you guys watch. And that is 2004's Jersey Girl. What do you guys know about Jersey Girl?
Ben Affleck's in it.
Okay. Ryan, is that all you know?
It's a movie I stayed away from for a while because the people who I knew who were obsessed with it, I really didn't care.
Okay.
Oh no.
Well, it's gonna be an interesting conversation, because things in this movie have come back around full circle and aged well, and other things have not. And none of that has to do with Kevin Smith. It just has to do with the people in the movie. But I'm really excited to rewatch this in honor of Clerks 3. So tune in next week on Tuesday for that. In the meantime, you have to watch this podcast on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube live every Tuesday, or go back and watch our older episodes. You can listen to You Have to Watch This podcast on all major podcasting platforms. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and enter our contest. Rules are on the Hocus Pocus 2 post. In the meantime, for You Who Have to Watch This podcast, I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
And we will see you next week.